Hello, hello, hello. Come on in, friends. Type in freedom now. Freedom now. If you're joining me today on Instagram, it's nice to have you. TikTok, it's a pleasure as usual. And McBean Immigration TV and Facebook. Hello, hello. Type in freedom now. Come on in. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York. Working with clients nationwide at McBean Law. Freedom now, guys. Today, I was all set to go. We had this wonderful, wonderful show all planned for you guys with great scenes loaded up with audio from videos from TikTok, just some amazing things to share with you. And then we our system crashed. It crashed and there's no audio. So here you have it. I'm doing an alternative setup here. The show must go on. Type in freedom now. It's so great to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to talk about some break-in immigration news. Okay, we're going to have a really good discussion today. There's so much going on with immigration, and I'm trying to stay on top of it. Type in freedom now if this is what you really believe in, okay? So we're going to go through some breaking news first, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to answer your immigration questions today, okay? Freedom now, guys. Great to see you. Great to see you. Let's see what this looks like on the screen, and this is definitely not how it's normally formatted, but we're just going to go with it. Freedom now, Alex. Good to see you. Freedom now. Hey there, Bricks. Thanks for being present. He says, I'm present. Hey there, Valentina. Good to have you. Thank you so much for being here today. Freedom now, and freedom always. Excellent. Friends, we're reachable at McBean Law for you to meet one-on-one with an immigration attorney to go through your immigration problem. Double tap the screen on TikTok. Okay, first big breaking news is this. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, to review birthright citizenship. Okay, birthright citizenship is being brought to the United States Supreme Court. On a few days ago, the president, through his Solicitor General, filed a petition for the court to consider the substantive issue of his executive order that he signed in January, and this is the formal way of bringing this issue to the court by the president, which is a fast track review, actually, that they're seeking. The administration is pushing for fast track review, which would put the issue squarely in the spotlight before the midterm elections. And this is notable because only one federal appeals court, the Ninth Circuit, has ruled so far on this issue regarding birthright citizenship. Usually the Supreme Court waits for conflicting rulings to happen from other circuits, but that hasn't happened yet. And so now they're pushing this forward for the court to consider. The arguments could happen early next year with a decision likely by June 2026. On his first day back in office, President Trump signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants, and also those who are here on short-term visitor visas. Visitor visa. 4 federal judges blocked the order, ruling that it violates the 14th Amendment and Supreme Court precedent. The Solicitor General is arguing that the citizenship clause in the 14th Amendment was meant for freed slaves and their children, not undocumented immigrants or those who come to the United States as tourists. And they're arguing that birth on U.S. soil alone should not automatically grant citizenship. The various courts around the country, district courts, have rejected President Trump's position, citing various legal authority, of course. And this is something that we need to watch. We need to watch whether the Supreme Court will agree to take this case before more appeals courts weigh in. And the timing again of this ruling, friends, is likely to be June 2026. And this has broader political implications or consequences because it could really reshape the 2026 midterm. The debates that will be happening, the debates that will be happening, there's sound coming from this phone. I don't know why. Um, Today is the day, the day, the day. Okay. Today is the day. I don't know what's going on here. So let's just go like this. Thank you for whatever gifts you're sending, but please, I don't know if my colleague can help me with the sound on one of my phones here, the TikTok phone. But the broader political implications, friends, has to do with the fact that the midterm elections are coming up, and the debate around immigration and the constitutional interpretation of this issue will be front and center. So that is huge, something for us to watch, whether the Supreme Court will take this up or not. All right, the second issue is this, guys, and this has to do with the fact that several hundred people appear to be missing right now who are detained by ICE, who were detained initially at Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. And various news media outlets have been reporting that about 800 detainees vanished from ICE's public database, and another 450 listed with no location. Only call ICE for details. And so this issue, guys, is really concerning because not only can not the fact that immigration attorneys cannot reach their clients, families cannot reach their loved ones. They have no idea whether these individuals are still even in the United States, in light of the fact that the administration has also been dropping some folks off to third countries. And we know this to be true because sometimes we get your calls, frantic calls from you saying that my loved one was just deported, dropped off in the middle of the night somewhere in Mexico, and we're not even Mexican. Okay, so some of this type of activity is happening right now. And so a lot of people who are connected with those who are missing in the system, meaning that they cannot locate them, they have no way of knowing where they are. They're very concerned right now. And so the, uh, the ACLU and other immigrant rights groups have already considered the Alligator Alcatraz facility a black hole where people are missing from the system. Now, just a brief update. I wanted to play this clip for you from someone on an influencer on TikTok, Brenna Perez, who is tracking this information. Okay, and she has a terrific trending video. What we'll probably do is we'll probably share this video in our stories on social media today, her video. But in the video, she has some information for families and even attorneys who are trying to locate their missing clients and loved ones. There apparently some individuals have been alleged to be have been moved to the Stewart Detention Center in Georgia. Stewart Detention Center in Georgia, and also Camp East Montana in Fort Bliss, Texas, guys. Fort Bliss, Texas. This is where those are the two detention centers where we're suspecting that some of these missing folks are being housed at currently. And the Fort Bliss detention center is really, really concerning because the Washington Post did an article on September 16th citing 60 violations in 50 days at this Fort Bliss giant tent facility that ICE has set up here. And according to let's just go to the section here in the article, um, in which it talked about the fact that there's a report, an inspection report that indicates some very troubling very, very troubling things. The detention center at Fort Bliss, called Camp East Montana, failed to properly monitor and treat some detainees' medical conditions, lacked basic procedures for keeping guards and detainees safe, and for weeks did not provide many of them a way to contact lawyers, learn about their cases, or file complaints, according to a copy of the inspection report obtained by the Washington Post. And the ICE inspection report, which is not public yet and has not been previously reported, raises significant new concerns about the safety of workers and detainees at one of the Trump administration's marquee immigration projects, expected to hold up to 2,700 migrants at a time this month alone in September, and as many as 5,000 people by the end of this year. Camp East Montana has been publicly described by officials as the prototype for a new breed of large-scale holding facilities that will help ICE achieve its goal of doubling the nation's detention capacity by the end of the year. Friends, it's alleged that some of those missing detainees are at Fort Bliss or Camp East Montana in Fort Bliss, Texas, and also the Stewart Detention Center in Georgia. So take this information and run with it, for those of you who are looking for your clients and for those of you who are looking for your family members. Double tap the screen, guys. Type in freedom now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you. And also Brenna Perez, follow her on TikTok. I believe her handle is Perez Brenner. So it's PerezBrenna. I believe that's her handle. Follow her. Again, we'll play her video in our stories today so that you guys can see the critical information that she has shared about where some of these missing detainees are. All right. Now, the other big news, guys, is the last week you guys saw the horrific video of the ICE officer in Manhattan at Federal Plaza who pushed a woman to the ground, and it went viral on social media. Why? Because it's violence against women and a woman, and that's not acceptable in this society still, right? So apparently he's been placed on some sort of leave. On September 25th at Federal Plaza, the ICE officer pushed the wife of a detained Ecuadorian man against the wall and then to the ground. And he kept yelling, adios, adios. And this has sparked some attention from DHS. They've indicated that this conduct is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. So he was placed on administrative leave. Others are saying, well, more needs to be done here. He should be fired, actually. He should be fired for this conduct. DHS promises a full investigation and review and emphasize that professional standards matter to them. Now, here's one thing that you might not have known about this incident. This very same officer was reported to have been involved in a confrontation in August with an NPR journalist in which he shouted profanities at the journalist, and he was observed pushing or shoving the guy, and later detaining the journalist and citing the journalist for trespassing. So there's something there with this particular officer. This use of force again raises a lot of questions, and it's just outrageous. Over the last 5 months, ICE has increased arrest inside immigration courthouses, Manhattan in particular. If you have a hearing coming up in Manhattan, you need to strategize with an immigration lawyer about changing it to a WebEx hearing if at all possible. It's a very, very risky location at this time, but specifically they are looking for certain types of individuals who have been in the country for under 2 years, although we don't know fully the extent of their reach with going after people who have been here longer than 2 years. But strategize with a lawyer before you show up to court in Manhattan. And you should, of course, know that if you miss a hearing, the judge will issue a removal order against you. So strategize because you do not want to miss your hearing. Now, so what you should be watching for with regard to this investigation by DHS is, will this officer be suspended? Will he be fired? Are they going to reinstate him? And the broader debate really is, should ICE be allowed inside the courthouses to make these types of requests? I would say no to that. I would argue no to that. Okay, now the last update has to do with this. Dr. Ian Roberts in Iowa, the Iowa former superintendent who is detained by ICE. This has caused quite a lot of concern for the community there in Des Moines, Iowa, and it has raised a lot of questions about how this could happen. I have a video on YouTube with some theories about how someone in his situation can be helped, but I did my video before the school board issued a statement indicating what happened. So, for those of you who are unaware of this story, a very popular superintendent, a Black man from Guyana, who was the superintendent in Des Moines, Iowa, which is a huge public servant position, huge position, and he was really well liked by the community there. And he was doing apparently some transformative work in the school system, the public school system there. But he apparently, ICE is alleging that he has a removal order, that was issued by an immigration judge last year in 2024, May, I believe. And therefore, they went after him. And when they pursued him, he fled. This is the statement that ICE has issued. They have it up there on their website about what happened here from their standpoint. Take it as however you choose to take it. But this is what they're saying, that when they approached him, when they tried to arrest him, he sped away. And then they later apprehended him and found a loaded gun in his car. And they detained him. And he's detained as of right now, to my understanding. He does have a wife. I don't know her status. However, here's what the school board later came out and said. They're shocked, they're surprised, they didn't know about his immigration status. They hired him in 2023, and on his I-9 employment form, he indicated that he's a US citizen. That's the statement from the school board to cover their position or their situation, that he had indicated on the I-9 that he is a US citizen, and they knew nothing about his removal case. They knew nothing about the removal order. And that's where they are currently with their understanding of the facts. The community, shock waves were sent in the community. They had a very big protest there on Saturday in which the citizens rallied behind him and wanted him to be released. They were crying out for him to be released. Some people are saying it's racism. Other people are saying that ICE has made this up, that it's a lie. But I will tell you this, in all my years of practicing immigration law, I have never seen ICE actually say that someone has a removal order publicly, or even, not publicly. I've never seen them say that someone has a removal order who does not have a removal order. It's very easy to verify this information. Once you know a person's alien number, you could immediately go on their website, on EOIR's website, to find out whether this person is in removal or not. Very easy to verify. And so apparently he was working and he had this immigration problem. I don't know what brought him into the removal system. At one point, he was an F1 student, so he had a Social Security card. And if he had a driver's license, those two paired together can easily give the appearance that a person is a US citizen when that's not the case. So we're going to continue to track this. I'm going to continue to track this story and what what we should really be looking for is, I don't know, has he been deported yet? Because this is false claim to U.S. citizenship. This one is very, very, very difficult for him to get out of. So the strategies that I shared with you guys on Saturday no longer applies to him. They do not apply to him. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in to your questions. I think that was it as far as my news is concerned. Guys, we can be reached. We can be reached at 914-898-9488. Okay. Let's get this formatted right. Okay, reach out to us at 914-898-9488 or email us at info@mcbeanlaw.com. I'm going to jump into some of your questions today. Double tap the screen, share this with others. Thank you so much for spending this lunch hour with me. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. Awesome. Can I travel? The first question comes from Earl. Earl wants to know whether he can travel with his 2-year green card, 2 years green card, plus his receipt notice for an I-751. He wants to go to Greece. Awesome. I think that you'll be fine. I don't know anything about your record. Are you still together with your spouse? If you're still together with your spouse, you can travel. Let's just shift this over here. You can travel. Also, if you do not have a criminal record, you should be fine. You have nothing to worry about. Good to see you, Pauline. Thank you for being here today. Type in freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Let's see. Let's go here. Cameroon is in the house. Thank you so much for being here from Cameroon. But I had... Oh, let's do this. I'm going to just make a little change here because I just realized something. I just woke up to a fact. There we go. All right. Our contact information is on the screen if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, let's get this over here. What is the I-130 approval time? The I-130 approval time certainly depends on who petitioned you for a green card. For some people who are immediate relatives of a U.S. citizen, they could see a very fast approval, 6 to 9 months. Although now you will go on USCIS's website and you're going to see some crazy number as far as how long things are taken. Don't be discouraged by that because in practice, it really doesn't take as long as USCIS has on their website. But if you're in a family preference category, you could be waiting 2 years, from maybe 2 years to 10 for your case to be resolved, or even longer. Double tap the screen, guys. Come on in and say hello. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York. I filed my I-130 in July. Okay, in July. When can I file the I-485? I feel like you've asked this question many different times, all very frequently in the past, right? The same person. So I always say that if you're eligible for concurrent filing, the I-130 and the I-485 together should have been filed together if you're eligible for concurrent filing. I can't advise you on when the 485 should be filed after the I-130 outside of the concurrent filing process because I don't know yet whether you're eligible for adjustment of status, right? Are you in removal as well? Because you can't file the I-485 unless you're out of court in most cases. Okay. How do I contact you? I have a removal of conditions case. You can contact us by going to the bio page here on TikTok. You'll see our phone number there, or go to mcbeanlaw.com and you'll see the phone number, our contact details there as well. It's everywhere, guys. You could even Google, certainly. Instagram, the screen looks a little, doesn't look straight on my end. Freedom now, guys. Okay, so next question. Are there any concerns or risk in applying for I-130 with an expired visa for 12 years? Being married to a U.S. citizen, and I have a misdemeanor related to failure to collect sales tax. Okay. So filing the I-130, what is the risk of filing an I-130 for a visa overstay and the person is married to a U.S. citizen and it looks like, I don't know, a small issue there on the criminal side? The risk might be very low for you, might be very low for you. Um, And I don't even know what that code is that you've put in there. There's no way I could ever actually give you a smarter answer than that without us doing our research. But from the way that the question is framed, okay, the way that the question is framed, you might be fine with filing and probably low risk, but have a lawyer or have us look at your background fully. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Let's see, let's keep going. Um, Someone says, we all know that the Supreme Court will rule in Trump's favor on the issue of birthright citizenship. We'll have to see. Okay, we'll have to see which way they go because now the Trump administration is asking that they consider the substance of this issue of his executive order. Months ago, we saw the Supreme Court ruled on his side, on the Trump administration's side, with regard to whether injunctions should apply nationwide or not. Even before that decision, which said that they don't like nationwide injunctions, we saw little by little the court was chipping away from this practice of nationwide injunctions. And so that's the decision point that we have so far. We're going to see, we'll see where things go. I started reading last week, Amy Coney Barrett, Judge Barrett's book. And I just made it through the first chapter and I'm praying that it gets better, right? You have to understand their thinking. And I'm reading her new book because, I want to understand some things about her because she could be a very divisive person, I think, in some ways, shocking and potentially go her own way, right? We saw Sandra Day O'Connor did that, right? For those of you who, were around back then and followed what the Supreme Court was doing in those days, she kind of went her own way. And so I'm trying to get a sense of whether this new justice has that in her to kind of go her own way and make up her own mind. I'm hoping that she does because birthright citizenship is quite clear from my standpoint in the 14th Amendment. Freedom now. Freedom now. Um, okay. What do you advise about Haitians with immigrant visa? And then you say F1. I guess you're talking about the first preference category, right? F1 category by November 1st. Will the travel ban still be in effect with regard to Haiti? And this is about someone who's in your family because you're a U.S. citizen. So if you have a relative who is impacted by a travel ban, um, just by the way, there's a lawsuit being pulled together, a group lawsuit. I think it's Morrison's firm that's working on that. I saw some emails from him a couple of days ago about this group lawsuit. They're onboarding people with regard to if you're from a travel ban country and you're trying to bring in a family member to the United States, you could potentially join his lawsuit. It's for pay. It's $1,000 per principal applicant. I read through their onboarding materials a few days ago. If you're interested in that, you can go ahead and Google his law firm. I forget his first name, Morrison, but you'll be able to find it on your own, I'm sure. So that's something to consider if you're impacted by the travel ban only. Now, I don't know I don't know yet whether the administration is going to lift the travel ban for Haiti. 60 days, they were supposed to finish their review, I think by now. I'm not sure. Because, well, the travel ban went into effect sometime in June, July, August, September. Yeah. So we're waiting. We're waiting to hear whether they're going to make some changes with some countries. Otherwise, they are not issuing the immigrant visa for individuals in a preference category from a travel ban country. Yes, there are ways of arguing that your entry into the United States might be in our national interest, but it's very difficult to make that argument when it's a family case like this. Okay. So stay tuned. I'm eager to see what's going to happen there. I don't have any update on the Dignity Act today at this time. Freedom Now, guys. Thank you for joining. I've reached the part of today's show. Well, it was going to be a show until our system crashed, and I have oh, now the audio is back on the other device with all of the great scenes and everything. How crazy is that? Let's find some. Hold on a second, guys. Bear with me. Okay. Yeah, the audio just decided it's back. Everything's all good now after I've done all that I needed to do and say, great, 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 great. Oh, how funny. Um, if you are on OPT, and you have been waiting for the upcoming H-1B lottery. How screwed are you? So Panda Kim is asking, I think you're in trouble. I think a lot of folks who are students on OPT, they're in trouble, okay, with the lottery because the lottery is going to be completely skewed, of course, towards selecting individuals who will be receiving the highest salary offers. Those are the ones who are really, the government is favoring now, the best of the best, so to speak. Then the other big problem that students are facing on OPT, in particular STEM, those with the STEM extension, USCIS is all over you guys now, from what I understand. Okay, we don't do a lot of student cases here or change of status and all of that involving students. But from what I understand, DHS is sending you guys RFEs. DHS is showing up at your school. DHS is showing up at your job. DHS is trying to verify a lot of information regarding STEM OPTs. They are all over the students now. And there are about, 100,000 Indian H1, I'm sorry, STEM, OPT STEM students, former, you're no longer in school, you're working, and you're on your extension, but there are a lot of you, and DHS is trying to really come after you. So you've got to think long term about what your options are because this government is making it crystal clear that they're cracking down on international students. And also, another interesting piece to consider if you're on OPT and you're thinking about the H-1B lottery and other things like that. Of course, there's the $100,000 fee, which most employers will not be willing to pay for a student, someone who's fresh out of school. The other thing is this, that I want to say it was last week on I think it's the Senate Judiciary Committee, a letter was circulated, I forgot the name of the senator, by a Republican senator, um, calling into question some things related to the F1 student visa and the fact that, our economy is doing so poorly and college graduates, American college graduates, are having a difficult time finding a job. And yet we have the F student visa process and we have all these international students. And so now he's trying to crack down on students. So that's happening on Capitol Hill as well. So there's a lot of pressure right now on students, And I think that you've got to plan long term. For some of you, you might even be eligible for the O1 visa. You can probably do things on your own. You might be that talented. You might be that good. You might even be eligible to self-petition under the EB2 and NIW, National Interest Waiver. Think more broadly about your prospects here. Don't just give up. You might have something very valuable that you can offer to the U.S. All right. So have your case looked at before you give up on things. Before you give up on things. But it's a pretty bad situation right now for international students and those out there working on OPT. Okay. Okay, let's go back here. Type in freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for all the gifts on TikTok. Thank you for all of you who are joining today's show. What can I do if I got my interview notice, but my wife didn't get hers? So if this is a marriage case, the government is expecting the both of you to show up together, and they usually just send one interview notice, okay? So you have nothing to worry about there. If you need help preparing for your interview, I don't even think I have this queued up here on this laptop. Today's a mess, guys. Today's a mess. You just gotta laugh. We were so overly prepared before my computer crashed, and now it's back. Okay, we're gonna type it in the chat for you. Prepare for your interview. Go get my interview prep course. It's 23 videos with me walking you through questions and issues that you need to be thinking about as you prepare for your upcoming interview with USCIS with your spouse. We're going to type in, my colleague is going to do that for me, the link so that you could go and grab that free, that there are other free resources. This one is not free. This one is $297, but I do have a lot of other free resources on my website that you guys can take advantage of. Why do I want to always say that this is free? This is not supposed to be free, Lord. Is God trying to tell me something? Make it free. Make it free. Every time I try to talk about it, free. Make it free. Make it free. Like, really? Make it free? It's so valuable. It's so valuable. It's go grab that so that you can prepare for your interview. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Freedom now. All right. Thank you, guys. Can the BIA motion to reopen be denied? Okay, this is back to a serious topic. Can a BIA motion to reopen be denied if ICE says that I need a waiver for the I need the I-601 waiver for misrepresentation during my asylum case 20 years ago, and now I'm trying to do an I-130 case. Okay, so Jazz, we might need to talk a little bit more about this, okay? We might need to talk about this. We would want to see what is this quote unquote misrepresentation from 20 years ago. So, going to the BIA with a motion to reopen is really complex. And there are times when I mean, certainly you have to be completely transparent in that motion about your immigration history. And of course, if ICE jumps in and tries to oppose the motion, they will point out things like this, the misrepresentation that you've noted here. Let's talk offline, one-on-one, if you would like to do that about this issue. Let's talk one-on-one, okay? So that I could get a little deeper with you. Friends, today's live broadcast is public, okay? It's public and it is being monitored by people who love us and people who don't, and then and by others. So use a lot of discretion and careful wisdom as you ask your questions. Do not share anything confidential today on this show, as I'm sharing with you guys some some tips on how to achieve the success that you need. Okay. All right. Freedom now. Oops. Um, okay. Okay, just blocked my first person here on TikTok. All right. Um, I have a pending asylum case and my wife is a green card holder. Can she file an I-130 for me? Your wife can start a process for you, but just know that you're going to be in the preference category and you're going to be on hold. Your case is going to be just a little slower, although it's moving much faster now. The issue that we would be looking at is, can she naturalize at some point? And if so, when, right? Because then we will lay it out for you what the timeline will look like for you, and whether you will be able to adjust your status later on, which is really what you'd want to do. Okay. But of course, we would think strategically about this pending asylum case and what you alleged to the government and whether everything was true and correct or not. All right. Instagram, tell me, how does the audio sound to you guys? I'm back with this, my road here, which has failed me many times in the past, but I decided to give it another try. Is the audio crystal clear for you guys here on Instagram today? Let me know if the audio is good for you on your end. Let's go down here. Okay. They've rescheduled my green card interview since July 28th. Still no, they did up until this point. They have not yet said anything. It's still early. It's still early. Okay, I have my audio is good. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you. Just hold on, Joe. They will send you something, okay? They're gonna reschedule it. Um, Oh, Robert is giving us an update here about a news that I shared earlier about the officer who pushed the lady. Robert says he is back on duty. Um, is that right? That he's back on duty? That they've investigated it and the video shows that the woman pushed him first? Um, Robert, thank you for that. We'll confirm that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Freedom now, Janet. My N400 interview is coming up, but I have been laid off. Should I go for unemployment assistance? Okay, so just so you know, good moral, you're probably asking this question because good moral character considers your employment history and all of that. A brief period of being laid off is not going to hurt you with your immigration, your pursuit of naturalization here, okay? So if you need to go on this unemployment insurance, that's you need to obviously know that immigration, you, by the way, you paid into the system, right? That's what unemployment, you've paid into the system, and you could tap into your benefit if you're eligible to tap into that benefit. And I don't think that this is going to really hurt you at all with your naturalization case, provided that you can provide other information to immigration that you have good moral character. I don't think that a brief period of unemployment or even getting unemployment assistance is going to hurt you, okay? Freedom now. Let's see. God's child, you know that you've asked me that question one too many times. Why do you do that to me? One too many times. I'm not going to answer it again. It's all good. Jeanette wants to know, is there anything positive happening in the immigration world? Should U.S. citizens that are Latino carry around their passports? Okay, so Jeanette, yes, good things are still happening. Some people are still getting their cases approved by immigration. Some cases are moving faster than ever. Um, positive things are happening. Litigation is going on behind the scenes. Um, there are a lot of defeats, right? But there are some victories, okay? So it's a slow grind. It's a slow grind, and we have to just keep pressing on, okay? But yes, good things are happening. Now, with regard to whether folks should be carrying around proof that they're U.S. citizens, Latino in particular, as you've asked here, I say yes to that. I think yes. I think yes. And yes, right? There's nothing wrong with carrying around a copy of a photocopy of your U.S. passport because the U.S. Supreme Court has green light the idea of racial profiling of Latinos, okay? And that's nationwide. So, yes. By the way, I have a video coming out for you guys today at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock that touched on the case involving the U.S. citizen, 79-year-old man who was roughed up by ICE. And he is now suing the government for DHS for $50 million for violating his civil rights. So in my video today, I show you the video of what happened to him. And I also talk with you about how you can file a civil rights complaint against DHS if you have have your rights have been violated. So that's coming out today at 6 o'clock on YouTube. We'll show clips on social media, but today on YouTube, watch that video. Again, how you can file a civil rights complaint. Of course, work with a lawyer. You'll see my disclaimer in the video that you should not do this on your own. It might look easy based on how I'm presenting the information to you, but you should absolutely work with an attorney to prepare the complaint, the civil rights complaint against DHS for violating your civil rights. So that's today's video. It's for you guys today, okay? 6 o'clock. Let's go down here. How are OPT students affected by the new $100,000 H-1B fee? Does it apply to them as they are changing status from OPT to H-1B? Yes, it will apply to them at that point because they're not they were not H-1B holders before the proclamation went into effect, which was September 21st. So if they are only F1s or if they're on OPT and they're looking to participate in the upcoming lottery, well, they will be responsible for that, or the employer will be responsible for that big fee. If they make it through the lottery selection, they have to pay that big fee. Those of you who are CAP exempt, it applies to CAP exempt folks as well, that fee, unless they're exempt. I guess two exemptions. Is there a pathway for overstays using the new Trump Gold Card without having a qualifying relative? Captain Kirk is asking. That's a great question, Captain Kirk. I don't think we have enough details about how the Commerce Department is going to be making decisions with regard to this, because my understanding is there has to be a visa available somehow, okay? And yes, paying the 1 million or $2 million will expedite your process if you're in the backlog. But there has to be some way legally, according to the proclamation, that it's going to all happen within the legal framework that we already have. Okay, so you're going to need a visa. So the question is, well, which one, right? Which one? How are you going to be able to do that? you've overstayed, and under existing law, it says that if you've overstayed a visa in the United States and you're pursuing maybe an investor process or another process on your own, you're still going to need a waiver and to finish your process at the U.S. Embassy. So what I'm going to be looking for is whether the Commerce Department is going to try to bend the rules. I just, I really I have no faith in this process. I think it's going to be a complete disaster. A complete disaster. I'm really not a fan of the Commerce Secretary at all. I call him that guy. That guy. He reminds me of a used car salesman. Anyone else? Come on, you know he gives that vibe. That's the vibe he's given me. I can't trust that. I can't listen to him. I can't trust what they're saying. I don't think he's competent for the job, much less competent to be considering green card, these immigration process. So more is to come about how this will work, okay? But everything on the gold card side will be starting in December, the application process. Freedom Now, double tap the screen. See, people out there have the resources to do these things. Some of you might be there so surprised, like, oh my God, he can pay $1 million? Yes. Some people can't. And as you guys know, immigration does not fully discriminate on the financial side of things, okay? Um, there are people out there who are waiting to pay that $1 million. Um, let's keep going. Let's see if I could go back up here. Thank you for joining today. My husband's conditional green card expires December 20th, and we're about to apply to remove his conditions. Is it safe to travel out of the country at the beginning of December? I would wait until you submit that application and get the extension. Okay, you want your extension letter before traveling outside of the United States. Double tap the screen, guys. Hi, Lorraine. Good to see you. Good afternoon. I know my Caribbean people are super proper. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. That's us. Good evening. Good afternoon. Okay, let's keep going. Thank you for that political pen pusher. I see that. Um, If you're now joining, you're going to want to watch the replay where I shared crucial information about the detainees who were at Alligator Alcatraz who are missing, and their family cannot find them, attorneys cannot find them, but they are, some folks have been tracking this issue, and some individuals are alleged to be at Fort Bliss, okay, in Texas, at Fort Bliss in Texas and in Georgia at the Stewart, Stewart Detention Center in Georgia, as well as Camp East Montana in Texas, not Montana, the state, but Fort Bliss, Texas. That's where folks are. They believe some of these individuals are. So contact those detention centers to see if your loved one is there or not. If you're concerned about, if you haven't heard from your loved one, if your loved one has been the government has been dropping some folks off in third countries. Okay, that is happening as well, guys. Okay, but typically if they do that, I'm pretty sure your relative would contact you and say, oh, here's where I'm at. I'm in Mexico of all places, and I'm not even Mexican, but this is what they've done to me. Normally, they would call you and tell you this is where I'm at. But in this case, these families cannot hear from their relatives, which makes me think that they're still here in the United States. Um, Again, at one of those two centers. Camp East Montana at Fort Bliss, Texas, I'm sorry, or Stewart Detention Center in Georgia. So look into that, guys, if you're impacted by this. Double tap the screen. If you're already a citizen, can you still keep your I-94? You know, certainly don't ever get rid of your old passport, your old entry documents. Just keep that locked away somewhere. But as a U.S. citizen, you're not going to ever need that ever, ever again. But there's no reason to trash it. Don't trash it. Don't trash it. Just keep it locked away somewhere. DJ, the new fees, DJ's asking whether they have to pay the big fees to the court, even if they have the grant of the VAWA. If you're in removal, you're facing $1,000 fees to the government. So work with a lawyer to know what fees are expected of you with what application. But yeah, the fees are astronomical in removal. Astronomical. Thank you guys. Freedom Now, type in Freedom Now, and let me know, guys, where you're joining from today. Someone says that, good afternoon, I'm waiting on my green card after submitting for renewal in February. Renewal. How soon can I expect it? I've been checking the system and they said that they don't need anything else from me. I don't know where things are at right now with the I-90 renewal. Check USCIS's website on that. All I know is anecdotally that it's a slow process and it is taking a very long time on the I-90. Friends, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at mcbeanlaw.com/subscribe, and also grab our free resources on our website, mcbeanlaw.com/free. We have some great materials there that are for free. Double tap the screen. Let's see. Okay. I have my son will be 21 years old in 2 years. What should I do if I have a removal in absentia if he files a petition for me? Great question. Great question. Your 21-year-old can file an I-130 petition for you, and USCIS could very well approve it because you're the father. Or mother, you're the parent. Now the question is, what then? What then is, well, your removal case is the biggest issue with this removal order in absentia. You would seek a motion to reopen that case to an immigration judge, the court that made the decision on the removal order to begin with will get this motion. It will automatically stay or stop deportation until the judge makes a decision on this motion. It's a hard thing to do, and it is getting harder because the administration is trying to replace judges. And as you guys know, they have recently reassigned hundreds of military JAG attorneys who might be very smart and impressive people, but they do not know immigration law. So to a large extent, if you get a judge like that who is reviewing your motion, you've got to say a lot of prayers that that judge would actually do a lot of homework and research and speak with other colleagues to understand what he or she should do in this case. So when the time comes, you should definitely work with an attorney to speak with you more about whether you could reopen that removal case or not. Or whether then for some people, they would have to leave the United States and there's a waiver process. And that's always plan B for some people, plan B. Double tap the screen. Hello, Instagram. Guys, you're not telling me where you're joining from. Tell me what city and state you're joining from so that I'll know where you guys are or what country you're watching from today. Thank you guys on YouTube for being here as well. Freedom now, freedom now, freedom now. Freedom now. Okay. I'm a green card holder. I'm a green card holder. I have one arrest that was administratively dismissed by the court before I got my green card. Okay. Would this affect my citizenship when I file next year? Okay, so whenever you're considering applying for citizenship and you have a criminal record, you should always one of the first things that I would want to know is whether you were ever obligated during your green card application process, like through a request for evidence or at an interview, to update the government about where things stand with you and the fact that you were arrested and you did update them. If you didn't update them and they later approve your green card, if you did not update them when they've asked you for an update, like at an interview or through an RFE or something like that, and you omitted a very key information and they approved your green card, years later when you're pursuing citizenship, that's when it can be a problem for you. But if you had not been obligated by through an interview or an RFE or something like that to update them about that arrest record, the time for you to do it will be when you seek citizenship. And I don't know what the arrest was for. Um, I'm glad to hear that it was dismissed by the court, but I would want to drill down. I think you should work with an attorney on your citizenship case. It may or may not be complex. It sounds like it might not be very complex, but you still need to get another pair of eyes on your facts to make sure that you're good to go. All right? Good to go for naturalization. Who should not be applying for naturalization right now? Individuals who know that immigration made a mistake when they approved your green card, and it's a big mistake, a substantive mistake. Also, individuals who intentionally omitted key facts from immigration, like maybe the child that they had during their marriage to the US citizen actually belonged to somebody else. Someone else is the father, right? But you omitted key facts like that. You're taking a very big risk if you seek naturalization, knowing that you intentionally misrepresented. If you are unclear about whether you intentionally misrepresented or USCIS made a mistake that was really material, if you're unclear about all of that, speak with a professional to clear up those details for you, to put it in context and tell you, oh, you have nothing to worry about, or oh, you have something to worry about, but we can help you with this, or oh, you have something to worry about and you shouldn't do anything right now. Okay? California is in the house. Thank you. 11 months after filing. I know you guys cannot see the words on my screen. Don't worry about it. This is not the usual setup. It is what it is. 11 months after I filed my I-130 for my wife, I lost my job. Will that affect the I-130 to be approved? Frank is asking. So Frank, as the sponsor, if your wife is doing an adjustment of status process through you, you would have to show the government that you have the financial wherewithal to sponsor her. All right. The threshold is not very high, but sometimes people have a difficult time meeting that threshold. They will want to look at your last 3 years of tax data, and they'd like to know what your current income is. And so if you're having a problem with your current income meeting the standard, when the time comes, they might ask you for a joint sponsor. Okay? A joint sponsor can save the case. It just really depends on how long you're unemployed for, okay? All right, let's keep going. Freedom now, guys. I have a 10-year-old autistic child, Valentina says. So, for some of you who are in removal proceedings, you might be able to seek cancellation of removal if you've been in the United States for more than 10 years, for at least 10 years, and you have a relative, like maybe a U.S. citizen, autistic child, as Valentina has mentioned here, and you have a good record, you don't have any serious crimes on your record, you might be able to get a 10-year green card through an immigration judge. So always keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, let's see if I could answer one more before we go today. Let's see. Back up here. Um, Good day. I came on a K-1 visa, but I didn't get married. I'm still here. Can I marry someone else and file for the green card? Tempest is asking. Tempest, we shared a story, a success story. I think it was yesterday. Check your inbox if you've subscribed to our emails. Involving, was it yesterday? The K-1 story? But recently we did share a story involving our K-1 client, and that person, it was in the same situation as you, and the law says that you can get a green card, but you won't be able to finish it here in the United States. You would need to file a I-601A waiver, all right, and then leave the United States. So your new partner or spouse can file an I-130 for you to get things moving, and then you do the I-601A, and then you'd have to go back to your home country. Um, my colleague has said that just with regard to the ICE officer who pushed that lady in Manhattan, who was relieved of his duties. We're not seeing any news on him being back to duty as quite as yet. And all the news reports that we're seeing, unfortunately, they're still a little bit old, 2 days old. But maybe Robert was right. I don't know. We'll see. Um, we'll see. Okay. All right. Let's get going. I have some important things to get to. I just saw something here. Guys, thanks so much for being with me today. Thank you for bearing with me. I shared important news. Go back and watch the beginning where I shared breaking news involving birthright citizenship, and discuss some other important news that you guys should be aware of. Thank you for being with me. You can reach out to us at 914-898-9488. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you'll get notice of these live sessions and videos each week. Today at 6 o'clock p.m., we have a new video coming out on YouTube about how you could file a civil rights claim against DHS for violating your rights. And I share the story about the 79-year-old U.S. citizen man who was roughed up at his place of business, and ICE roughed him up. He was hospitalized. Well, they detained him for many hours, and then he was hospitalized, and he suffered from broken ribs. Two or three ICE agents were sitting on him. It was really painful to watch the video. Some of you might have already seen it on TikTok, but I'm talking about it today in the video, and how a person can file a civil rights complaint against DHS if their rights have been violated. This video only provides just the rough information about how to start this kind of process. It is a very complex process. You should work with a lawyer before filing a complaint against any government agency. It's hard to do. If the agency, normally the agency would have 6 months to investigate your matter and then make a decision and help to settle the case with you. And if they do not get back with you by that time, you could obviously file your case in federal court. But like I said, it's a challenging process. So watch today's video just to learn some basics about how to even get started, or what you should be thinking of if you feel like your civil rights have been violated by DHS. Let's go, guys. Let's get empowered. Get empowered. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. It was nice to be with you. I really wish we were able to show you everything else, but it just didn't happen. The audio failed me earlier, so thank you for bearing with me today. It's all good. Guys, thanks again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.